You know, just the other day I was thinking, my reviews have been so positive lately. I wonder if it's getting boring. Well, here's something to mix them up. After I read and reviewed Thomas Hardy's Far From the Madding Crowd last month, I wanted to see the 3 film adaptations. So this Thursday night, my mom and I watched the first of these, 1967's 171-minute adaptation starring Julie Christie as Bathsheba. Excuse me, that's incorrect apparently. I've been saying it Bathsheba all along, but everyone in this movie says it Bathsheba. So, starring Julie Christie as Bathsheba Everdeen, Terence Stamp as Sergeant Troy, Peter Finch as Farmer Boldwood, and Alan Bates as Gabriel Oak. Let's put this movie up here so that I'm not blinding you with the glare, and cut to the chase. I didn't really like this movie that much. For one thing, it's nearly 3 hours, and it feels long. It's a 60s movie, very 60s in its filming and style, and some 60s movies can be a little slow. This is just a story about a girl inheriting a farm and the 3 men who fall in love with her, which is fine, but it's not really an epic, so it shouldn't be handled like an epic. You shouldn't take too long telling the story, or it might become tedious. It didn't have to be this lengthy, because while it does follow the book pretty closely at times, there's plenty of stuff it didn't include. I actually think they cut a couple things they shouldn't have. Quick exchanges that would have helped explain or give greater significance to certain events. But no, they chose to spend that extra time on Sergeant Troy's sword tricks and a disturbing and totally unnecessary cockfighting scene. Going into this movie, I was most looking forward to seeing what Peter Finch and Terence Stamp did in their respective roles. Finch because I've liked him in most of the movies I've seen him in, and Stamp because he really impressed me in 1965's The Collector and 1970's The Mind of Mr. Soames. But you know, his character in this, Sergeant Troy, is just not likable. He's more than just a cardboard cutout cad, and Stamp gives him a couple deep moments, but for the most part, Troy is irritating. Which is funny, because look at this. Troy is all over this. He's on the back, he's on the front. Was it packaged and marketed this way because Julie Christie and Terence Stamp were both hot tickets in the 60s? Or is it because they dated for a time, so there's a little aspect of ooh la la here? Or are they trying to make him look like the hero? Now you could say that's just the cover art. What does the movie have to say? Well, in the movie, he's featured more than the other 2 men. He has extra scenes. Some of his more nasty lines from the book are not included, and the last images of him are more suggestive of a tragic romance than a disastrous relationship. So, what's the deal? I'm getting mixed messages here. I feel like there's a big disconnect between the book and the movie as far as this character is concerned. I can't figure out what they're trying to say about Troy, about his relationship with Bathsheba, about how she feels about him in the end. Bathsheba, by the way, Bathsheba, it's really hard to get used to that. She is still the central focus. They didn't change that, but I did find her characterization disappointing. Besides the fact that Julie Christie doesn't match the character's physical description, I found her backbone, her independent streak, was lacking, and her shrewdness and business savvy was glossed over, while her personality really came off as weak and wishy-washy, not just towards the end of the book when she's more beaten down by circumstances, but fairly early on. So, yeah. On the more positive side, the location scenery was interesting, the sheep stuff was shockingly realistic, and the romance theme in the score was pleasant, and my mom and I both agreed that Alan Bates and Peter Finch were the most likable characters, and I would add that they were good reflections of the characters as Hardy wrote them, even though the script kinda played hooky with the endings for both of them. Finch might have underplayed Boldwood's desperation, and Alan Bates should have been in it more, but still, the 2 of them were good. Because both of us were so lukewarm about this, I was thinking we should wait a few months before watching the next adaptation, but Mom says that she's willing to watch the next version whenever I want, as soon as tomorrow. So, she is awesome. And on that, I'm going to make my exit. Thanks for watching. Bye!